Okay, so this week we've got a couple of ongoing or longer term assignments that we need to get working on. That's going to be the microblog, blog, vlog, or podcast assignment, and also the Red Link Wiki. So, probably a good place to start this week would be just to review the prompts for each of these assignments before you dig into some of this content here. But now that we've all pitched our ideas for the Red Link Wiki, we can start to put together our pages. So I wanted to go over quickly how to do that. So when you're at the home for the Red Link Wiki here, if you've made an account via Fandom, then you should be able to add a page to our wiki by doing that right here. So I'm going to add a page here that's just a placeholder that I'm going to delete at some point. And it's going to be, just about like a random topic that I decide off the top of my head right now, which is going to be one of my favorite authors. It's going to be Haruki Murakami, because he's someone I also, know a little bit about, so I can probably, put together something pretty fast here. So once you decide what your page title is going to be, you get just this basic text editor here that you can work with. You also get some notifications that will track when other people, make contributions to what it is that you're working on your page. But if we take a look at what wiki pages look like and what wiki pages are before we start to write ours, we can come up with an idea for kind of like what the structure of a wiki page is. There's usually a more general overview in the main text area. Over here in the right-hand margin over here, you usually have some kind of like a information box, a visual bio that lays out some of the most important information about that person. From there, there's usually, some kind of a structured breakdown dealing with the person's early life, their school time, their early professional career, and major accomplishments. Obviously, Stephen Hawking is one of the most, visible astrophysicists of all time, so there's lots and lots of stuff on his Wikipedia. I don't necessarily think that our articles will be this developed, because I think it will be harder to find information, but it can give you an idea of just kind of the basic categories that people generally use to structure these pages for people who are figures in the academy or the sciences. So this includes something here, like a filmography, a bibliography. This I don't even think is a full bibliography, and it's listed as publications here because there's many different kinds. So one of the things you might be wondering about is why not just use Wikipedia, all right? There's actually a pretty stringent set of gates set up on Wikipedia in terms of how to get your stuff published and how to become a contributor there. So Fandom was kind of created as an alternative to Wikipedia. Not quite as official, can be, used for things that maybe are more niche, wouldn't end up on Wikipedia in a very expeditious manner. You can make a Fandom wiki for it. So that's why we're using this platform here. Fandom really does try to do a good job of mirroring all the different things that you can do with the Wikipedia page. So we'll talk how to put together your page, talk about how to put together your page structurally now, so you can have an idea of how to do that. Usually the pages do start with just text after the main title, but one of the things you'll see is that they always have this info box, and you can add new templates for the info box as well. So here you can kind of play with and change some of the different settings that you want to use for your info box structure if you want to do that. You can include multiple images if you want to. You can put in a new section header and a new row with more text if you want to do that as you're filling things out. But I think all of our pages should have an info box. In that info box, what we can do is, because we're dealing with real people and because fandom isn't for, the sciences and the kind of thing that we're trying to do here, we're going to use this cast setting because it gives us the best options for real people. So we're doing Haruki Murakami's page right now. And, I don't need to put his birth name, but I've got his birthday here. I've got his wiki open. So January 12th, 1949. I know he was born in Kyoto, Japan. He is not dead, so on and so forth. There's other things that you could add here if you want to. So let's say I wanted to add something like, occupation before he was an author. So I could say like previous work or something like that. And I could say he owned a jazz club, which is true. Haruki Murakami did own a jazz club. Now, I would also want to drop an image in there as well of Haruki since he's so well known. But that would be a good start to my page. I've got, my header. I've got my just basic biographical information. I've got my text box. And now I've got this thing, too, that I just created that I don't know what it is, so I'm going to get rid of it. So here it's you can insert a paragraph. So if you wanted to do something beyond that basic biographical information now and you wanted to talk about Haruki's early life, you could make yourself a header and then you could start to, put in some information about when Haruki was, a young man. So Haruki Murakami didn't like school, something like that. And then you would want to build things out based on whatever you find to be most important in your research about the person or concept that you're working on. So those are like the main things that we need here. We need to know how to create a page. We need to know how to make the information box. We need to know how to set up headers and paragraphs. There's other tools that you can work with here. If you wanted to, for instance, make a table for a person's publications. You could do that. That would be something you could insert into your wiki page, and some folks do that. I don't know if they'll have one. They didn't have one for Hawking. They do have one for Murakami here. His publications are laid out that way. So I think that's a good thing for us to think about too, that probably our wiki pages are going to focus on like early life, schooling, professional work, publications, those kinds of things because of the nature of the people that we're dealing with. If we're thinking about concepts, I think the pages would be laid out in a similar way, but there you're tracking kind of like the biography of the concept and its role in research rather than, the biography of a person. So that's one of the main things we've got to get started this week. If your Red Link Wiki project has been greenlit, go ahead and make your page. If you're having trouble, if you need help troubleshooting and getting things set up, just let me know via the Discord. I think that would be the best place to answer questions about this so that we can share information. However, that's not the only thing we're doing this week, too. We're also setting up our blog, microblog, vlog, podcast work as well. So this is an independent project that you're going to be setting up on your own, but I do want to go through some of the different platforms that you might use and how to use them if you're feeling a little bit daunted by them. And what I want to focus on are content management systems. I think we can all make a Twitter profile. We can all make a profile on Instagram. We're very savvy at that sort of thing. We know how to do that. If you've got GarageBand on your Mac, you can record a podcast. Some folks have said, I want to try to do that via Zoom. You can do it that way too and have a video component if you want. I think we know how to make short form video content using our phones. That's not super challenging to do. And again, if you've got like iMovie or something equivalent on your machine, it's pretty easy to, figure out how the editing aspects of those softwares work. So maybe if we wanted to go through that quickly, we could take a look at what those interfaces look like. I use GarageBand frequently. So we'll start there. Right now, it's loading a demo for a song that I'm working on. So we'll have to keep that in mind, so I don't mess anything up of my own work. But yeah, this is the GarageBand interface here. Basically, the way it works is that, if you want to set up a track to record something, you go into the file menu, or the track menu, and then new track right here. If you want to record using your laptop's microphone, you would choose this option right here. Create. Your track is going to show up. Where did my track show up? I have a lot of tracks here because I'm doing a lot of different things. Here it is, audio 17. You can see this little green thing moves when I talk. That means I'm picking up audio. When I want to record some audio, you just press the record button like that, and you can record some audio. If you put that track on mute, you can only listen to that track. There you go. You have your audio recorded. You can take that audio from there, and let's say you want to splice it. You can use your Control T right there, Command T, Command C for copy, and then Command V for paste, and now we can reverse the order, and change the positioning of things and edit. So very simple to do a podcast in GarageBand. Not something that I think will be challenging for folks at all. Similarly, iMovie, really, really easy to use. It's what I use to make the videos that we watch in class. It's what I'm using to make this video right now. And ostensibly, all you do is you record your videos. This is my last screen recording right here. That shows up on my desktop. I just drag and drop it in there. And it's the same kind of editing tools as what we just looked at. You can just kind of split different parts of your video. You can use different audio than what's there by changing the audio level on your audio track down there. And if you just continue stacking these pieces and editing them together, you can make a long form video. So if you're looking to do some kind of podcast or vlog thing, but you're unfamiliar with GarageBand, you're unfamiliar with iMovie, use this as an opportunity to try to figure them out, because they're good skills to have, and they're fun too, and it really a lot more user-friendly than you would think. But like I said, the main things that I want to cover today are like how to put together a website if you've never done that before. This is probably a similar process for most content management systems. I like to use Wix simply because I'm very familiar with Wix at this point, and I know that it works pretty well. I don't think that I have used this account to create any kind of website, so let me try this. That's what I do. I just sign in through my Google account because it's the easiest way to do it. Once you're in, they'll want you to create a new site. What I would stress for all of these projects, free options. Do not pay for anything. You don't have to pay for anything. All of what we need to do, we can accomplish with the free options. So we're setting up blogs. So that's what you would want to choose. This, although, is going to say something about like what the name of your blog will be. So let's call it technology blog for now, although we'll want to, do something better than that. What would you like to call your website? Eric's technology website will work for now. Why don't we say blog? Because that's what I just called it. And then it's going to give you some things that, some widgets that you could add to the site if you wanted to. I would say you definitely want your blog. That's built in. If you want people to be able to chat with you or to, send you emails and things like that, you could do that. There's other things down here: bookings, events, video, pricing plans, forums, groups. You could play around with this stuff if you want to. You don't necessarily need to. What we create in this class can be very kind of bare bones, just a starting point. So, once you've kind of just set up the basics here, you can do kind of one of two things. You can begin with a template. You can get a custom site built. I would say just go to your dashboard and work on your own. Don't play around with the templates too much there, because you're going to end up just having to like remove a bunch of stuff. Here they have a checklist for you, which like you can do if you want. You definitely don't have to connect to a custom domain. You can just keep the Wix free domain. That's fine. Probably you're going to be spending most of your time here designing your website. It's going to ask if it wants, if you want Wix to create a site for you. I would say, you can do that. I would just pick a custom design template and work from there. So I think I've used this one before to some success, but you'll want to choose one that's like, customizable, that you'll be able to kind of put a lot of your own styling into. And then from there, things are like, pretty simple. All of this text is editable. It's just, text boxes. You can change the fonts. You can change the font size and weight and orientation and all things like that. If you want to get rid of something, just highlight it and click delete and it'll go away. If you want to add a section, it'll ask you, kind of like what kind of custom sections or prefab sections you want to add. So like services, if I want to add in this here, now I have all this, content here that I can play with. I can put a custom service name. I can change the image. Everything is very easily customizable. Probably the toughest thing to do is to manage your menus. So maybe that's something that we would want to go over quickly. So pages and menus over here. This is your main menu that comes at the top of the blog right there. So if you want to add things to your main menu, you can do that by creating a page. Let's say you wanted to create an About Us page. Now you've got an About page. Now it's on your menu. Now folks can click on it and go from, home to About. If you want to see what your website looks like, you can look at the preview. There's the page we just added right here. You can see the little widget thing down here. I'm not even trying right now, and stuff is just sort of happening. It's really, really easy to put together these websites. You can change this image in the background. You can change the color schemes and everything. It's all very customizable and easy to use. So if you're putting together a blog, choosing your content management system, I can't say enough good things about Wix, but Weebly, WordPress, Google Sites, those all work fine. GoDaddy, any kind of like free to use content management system. It's a fine place to set up a blog. Lastly, I've asked you to do some branding. And that might be daunting to folks who don't have a background in graphic design. I don't have a background in graphic design. I took one course once, but I don't find that these things are really all that hard to create, especially when we're dealing with that concept of, abstract images. So for instance, if I wanted to create a logo right now, probably what I would do is just log into Canva. Again, this is free. I would go to my elements and look at my shapes, and I would say, all right, well, like circles are in logos a lot. And then what if I also, grabbed like a triangle too? And then what if I made, this circle black? And then what if I made this circle this nice, it doesn't really pop. Red pops against black. And then maybe like rotated it here and placed it like that. And then let's say I'm doing something that has to do with tech. So why don't I pop a text box in there, and let's see, this is Eric's tech blog. So maybe I'll go with ETB as my shortened version of my online identity or something like that. And then let's say this, Canvas Sans is really, really plain. So let's try a different font and maybe make it a little bigger. And again, I am not trying right now. I'm putting in no effort whatsoever. I just put two random shapes on top of each other and pop some text on top of it. And it already kind of looks like it could be a logo for something. If you wanted to, make it bigger, see it in more detail, just highlight all the elements, pull it up like that. Now that I'm looking at it again, I'm thinking, that doesn't really pop against the red and black already. So why don't I try white there? That looks so much better already. And then there's little like text effects that you can add. So let's say I want to do this splice thing to it. That looks terrible. I probably wouldn't keep that. So I'd probably use something else. But it's just another example of how you can kind of manipulate text using Canva. So to kind of go back to the beginning and recap through all of that again, we've got to set up our wiki pages. If we've been greenlit, you can do that through the fandom wiki by adding a page to our Red Link Wiki. We want to make sure that our pages have a kind of standard format that follows Wikipedia. So basic background information, a sequence of probably chronological headers, using elements like tables to deliver a wide variety of information, or I should say a broad volume of information for, like a publications list, and then making sure we have our info box as well. If you were to put together, just what I have right here, right now for this week, great, you're in great shape. You've got a template to work off of, and you've got space to fill and subjects to research. So that's wonderful. We're also working on the blog, microblog, vlog, or podcast assignment. We took a quick look at GarageBand for recording audio, iMovie for recording video, although I think you all are probably more savvy at that stuff than I am. But keep in mind also that if you're creating a blog using only free content management systems and using their prefab templates and customizing those templates to sort of put together your own online presence, through a blog would be the way to go. And then if you're wondering about graphic design things, using a free graphic design tool like Canva can very easily help you put together something like a logo in a very short amount of time too. So that's what we're focusing on this week. We're just going to put together our wiki pages. We're going to showcase our models for the blog, microblog, vlog, and podcast assignment. And we are also going to start putting together our blog, microblog, vlog, or podcast projects so that we can take a look at them later in the week. Let me know if you've got questions on the Discord, and I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, have a nice week.